Hello, Hugh Grant fans, and welcome to Hugh's News, a Taking Hugh for Granted bonus podcast. Now, Hugh's News, we keep you up to date with everything Hugh Grant, and today we're talking about episodes 2 and 3 of HBO's The Undoing, which obviously stars Hugh Grant. But today's very special because it's our first podcast where you can see us. You can see our faces if you go to our YouTube channel, Taking Hugh for Granted on YouTube, or as we like to call it, our HughTube channel. But you can also obviously listen to it as a podcast as well. We'll never change from that. I'm Diggory Waite, and I'm joined as ever by my fellow Horse and Hound correspondent, Oscar Great. Oscar, I can see you.
I know, Diggs. I'm a bit nervous, to be honest, because when you said that you wanted to do the YouTube channel, I'm all for it, but I just realised that, firstly, I haven't had a haircut in about 2 months, and and now I have to be on screen, and 2, I'm trying. Again, as always, trying a little Movember thing going on, and it's not looking good at the moment. And you probably can't even see it right now. So
all you've done is just entice listeners of the podcast even more to come to our YouTube channel and subscribe and hit that like button and watch this whole thing on here instead.
I know, because I mean, last year I tried, like, I'm not really doing Movember in the main spirit of it. I'm not just doing the moustache. Last time I did a beard, but now I'm trying like moustache and kind of like under the chin, and it's not a good look. It's not a good look so far. I might give up.
No, a proper mo. That's how it should be. You've got to get the Hugh Grant, what was it, Clive Durham, like,
oh my God.
Upper lip hair.
That's what I should do
from Morris.
But it looks a little bit like a Hitler moustache though, so I don't want people to get the wrong idea.
Anyway, less talking about Hitler and more on to what we should be talking about today. The Undoing, episodes 2 and 3. We reviewed episode 1, Hugh Grant. There's been a killing. Hugh Grant could well be, he's gone missing. People think it's him. We'll do a quick, we want to talk about both episodes 2 and 3, but episode 2, not really much happened for the most part, really. I mean, I've written a little recap here. Hugh's missing and Nicole is interviewed by the police. It turns out Hugh was struck off as a doctor for misconduct with the patient's parent for like 3 months, and she didn't know about it. And he runs away. That patient that he got romantically involved with was the woman who's now been bludgeoned to death. The bit that I want to talk about, though, Oscar, is Nicole Kidman has left New York. She's taken the kid Noah Jupe, or Henry, with her, and she's gone to clear her head for a while. And we've gone a whole episode, and as Hugh Grant fans, it's awful. We've gone a whole episode without Hugh Grant, and she's there. I think it must be dawn. It must be really early in the morning because it's really dark outside, and she's sat there. She clearly can't sleep. She's woken up very early in the morning, or maybe she never went to bed. And she's sort of sat on the porch, and out of the shadows,
literally out of the shadows,
out comes the main man. And he's like, he puts her hand around his face, and he's like, don't scream, I'm going to take my hand away now. And it's just the most amazing. What did you think of this scene?
It's captivating, isn't it? We've been discussing for a week or so. We haven't seen Hugh Grant play something this intense, possibly ever. It is a side to him that we didn't know that was in the locker. And it's just come out now, and it was pretty convincing, to be honest. I was a bit scared. I'm scared of his character now, and you're wondering, what does he have the capability of being a killer? And there's a few things, this included, where you're like, maybe he does have that in him. What did you think about it?
I just loved it so much because, like you say, it's this intensity which Hugh Grant, I feel like we haven't seen him. Some things is an actor's bread and butter, like, crying on cue. How often have we seen Hugh Grant cry? Or be convincingly angry or convincingly scared. Sometimes because of his because of his typecasting and stuff, we don't see a lot of these things. We see him be slightly sad, or we see him be, obviously like charming and whimsical.
Awkward.
Yeah, or we see him be awkward. But this, we saw just the most, crazed side to him. I just loved that, and it felt so real. It felt like what he would do, when he was like, I went to her house, we fought, we had sex, I left, I went to a bar to console myself, I went back, and she was fucking dead. It was just like, it was so crazed and manic and like, but completely believable. And then when he grabs like the kid, his kid comes out and he grabs me, he's like, I don't want our kid thinking I'm a murderer and stuff. Again, it's just a side to him, like I say, that we haven't seen before, and it was absolutely delicious. But at that point, what do you think? Do you believe that he didn't do it? Did you believe what he said there?
Well, Diggs, I mean, I'm sure we're going to talk about it more. I'm really of two minds of whether or not he is the man who is behind this killing, because I mean, again, the seed has been sown here, and it's continued to be sown in episode 3, where we're trying to work out as the viewer, has this man got what it takes to do something like this? And I personally don't think he is the killer. I just simply because one reason obviously is just because it would seem too obvious. I know that's a boring thing to say, but also he just doesn't. He might be not the man he says he is, because we've discovered that he's got a bloody baby. He hasn't had a job for 2 years and's been lying about that. He's been unfaithful to his wife, so we know he's not the man he says he is on the tin. But do we think he has got that in him? And I don't think we do. He does, to be honest. That's
it, and the episode does a really good job of that, because I sort of the way that Nicole Kidman goes to see him while he's in prison. Also, what I like about this is, with so many TV shows, a character will go to prison and you won't see them in prison. You'll sort of see them when they are on like prisoner, when you can go in to meet with the prisoner, like, whatever their like scheduled meetings are or whatever. But this, we actually get to see what it's like for him when he goes in, what it's like when he goes to bed in there. He also has a fight in the courtyard where he bites a guy's finger, potentially off. But he has to spit blood out of his mouth. I mean, that is a mark along the side of he's a fucking killer. That was mental.
That was mental. I mean, I think that scene was even more dramatic than the cover-up scene.
Yeah.
Hugh we see there, he's got a side to him, a little bit of a temper, where this guy just, he's a fellow prisoner, so he's probably like done something bad, but still, he's just like, all right, Hugh, how you doing, mate? And then Hugh, out of nowhere, it's just like, starts a brawl in the prison courtyard, and the guy's got his face on the floor, and Hugh is just got his finger in his mouth and is biting it off, literally. And that is a side to him where you're like, Christ, maybe this guy needs some anger management, classes, some therapy. Like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, maybe this guy's a killer. And it's not helped because Nicole Kidman then goes to one of the doctors who used to work with Hugh and says, is he a bad guy? And that guy suggests that Hugh Grant is a psychopath, suggests that he has a sort of, not messiah complex, but has this thing where he loves the attention his patients give him, because he's a cancer doctor for children. These parents are coming to him being like, oh, please save our kid, we love you so much, you're amazing. And this doctor suggests that Hugh loved that, and he fed off that. And this woman who is now dead, she was one of the big ones who really loved Hugh. And yeah, as I say, this doctor suggests that Hugh is a psychopath. So, and you have all these things as well. We also have another bombshell dropped by Grace, Nicole Kidman's dad, saying that Hugh asked him for $500,000 and knew that, and because they were struggling as a family with their finances, and said, oh, Nicole Kidman will never come to you. She's too proud of a daughter of you. Give me the money and it will sort us out. Obviously, Nicole had no idea of this. And he apparently sunk the rest of their bank account as well. So there's all these strikes against his name. But still, there's something in me that thinks he didn't do it.
Also, I think that another sort of psychopath kind of tendency that he has is that he's clinging on. He's clinging on to the people he knows are weak for him, which is Nicole and the kid. So he's kind of like, when they come to the prison, he's sort of like, he's joking in his like dad-like way with the kids, and he's sort of pleading with Nicole, and you can see he's tapping into her brain, and suddenly she's now from episode 2 where she was like, she called the police on him and stuff, and now she's kind of like, he can't have done it. So I think the whole thing as well is a bit confusing, because it's a kind of examination of Nicole Kidman's character and brain and what's going inside of her brain. She's a therapist and all this kind of stuff, and you can just see the cogs turning and things. She just doesn't know what's going on and what to think or where to turn. And I think that's the kind of, well, it's called The Undoing for a reason. It's that sort of the undoing of the brains and all the sort of cognitive thoughts that she should be thinking, and she doesn't know what to think now.
That's so fascinating, the idea that because you see, I see the Hugh like clinging on to Nicole and the kid Henry, or Noah Jupe is the actor. I see that as just genuine, But it's so interesting now that you've said that he could be, obviously clinging on to those two because he knows that they're weak for him already. Aren't we all weak for Hugh Grant? But yeah, the fact that could be a sinister good play from him. So he is using. He said to Nicole, help me get out of here. You've got to, testify in my favor. That is really, really interesting. I mean, one thing I think now we have to talk about Nicole Kidman is the very end of the program, and like you say, it's all about Nicole and the mindset she's in. She's in with the two detectives who are trying to work out what's going on, and she says, "Oh, come on, guys! Don't you have any other leads other than my husband?" And because there must be some CCTV, and they go, "Well, funnily enough, you say that there is some CCTV," and they show the CCTV, and who's on the CCTV?
Mate, I got chills last night when I watched it, and I'm getting chills again now thinking about it. It was kind of like a horror. It was like a horror film shot of like some like ghost walking along the street. Yeah, Nicole Kidman, Grace Fraser, is very much implicated in the plot now, as she bizarrely is this scene walking along the street next to the crime scene. So it kind of opens up questions of, is there something as the viewer we haven't been shown yet about Nicole Kidman's character? And is it all like we're seeing almost the story from her point of view, but actually there's a lot that she's hiding, or there's sort of ways that she thinks that we haven't quite been opened up to, or something. I don't know. It's weird.
I think with this, that's exactly what's going on. And I think it's in the same way that with some books you have like an unreliable narrator, a narrator who will leave things out. I think that's exactly what's happening with this. Well, at least this makes me think that that's what's about to happen is, the way that we were shown the run of events so far, there was no inclination that Nicole Kidman's character did anything on the night of that. Other than she was at the party and then she went home, and Hugh Grant came back later that evening, cried, and they had sex, and he left in the morning. Like, that's all we know. But it's interesting now that you say that the show is from her perspective and maybe we're missing things. I think the show is from her perspective because we keep seeing these sort of dream sequences in her head where she's imagining Hugh at work being really sweet with these children with cancer and stuff, and she keeps like shaking her head. I think because we're seeing those, we're seeing her daydreams. It's all her. This is everything from her perspective. And I think that's exactly right. So she could be an unreliable narrator. And I don't know what the word is for that in film. But I think we're seeing this through her lens. And I think that's exactly right. We have missed something out here. And that's not through any fault of ours. It's not like we missed it. It's the TV show didn't show it to us because she maybe either forgot it from herself, maybe, is what we're about to find out, because it seems like she can't remember doing that.
And I think that this is why that the show, I think, is going to get better, because for me up to now it's been a little bit of a slow burner. There episodes 2 and 3 I felt were a little bit slow in places, but I think the nature of these HBO shows, isn't it, where it's just like it's a grand build up to everything just kicking off in episodes 5 and 6. I still believe that's going to be the case, and boy, if it's like a sort of unreliable narrator, I think that we're in for a treat here.
Well, I mean, if that is true, I've got to applaud the TV show for doing it, because I often think that whenever I remember at school when I learned about unreliable narrators, I was like, well, that's sick. Oh, they should do that in films. And there's very few films where they try that on. I mean, Shutter Island's a good example, and that's one of the best films ever. Although
it's rarely done, but it's hard to do well. It is hard to do well.
Exactly. But I have to agree with you what you said there. I think this TV show, if Hugh Grant hadn't been in it, I probably wouldn't have watched it in the first place. And if he hadn't been in it, if I had watched it, I might not have watched on. But now that Hugh Grant is in it, I think some of the performances we've seen from him are brilliant. I downloaded a video of his performance of we had sex, I went back, I consoled because I was like, I just want to watch this over and over again. It's sick.
Look over there, Hugh Grant's in a Pret. Look over there, he's holding a baguette.
So the last time we saw Hugh Grant in prison, I believe, was Paddington 2. So
yes.
If we got to compare the two, it's quite a different setting this time round.
Yeah, I was thinking this is one for the universe. Obviously, we saw him in prison in Paddington 2, doing his dancing in his, like, instead of it being white and blue striped pajamas or whatever, or white and black, it was blue and pink, and there was the dancing and the singing. It's a very different vibe this time around. Hugh's grown his stubble out. He looks dishevelled. He looks like leather.
He doesn't look great, to be honest, does he? He's looking a little bit worse for wear, and he kind of like, I don't know. I guess we've got the camera on now. He's sort of like this, and he's sort of waddling around.
Yeah. He does look a bit sorry for himself. A stark contrast to Phoenix Buchanan when he eventually got the captive audience he was looking for in when he went to prison. Such good fun, such great stuff. Well, I guess that's about it for us. Unless there's any other closing thoughts on the show, anything going ahead. Okay, do we actually? I'll ask you this before we finish. Do you have any idea who's done it? Do you have any? Because you don't think Hugh has, but any other ideas?
I mean, for me, the grandpa's still a dodgy character for me. There's still something there, isn't there, about him? He's a bit schemy. He's always playing chess or playing the piano.
Did you see chess.com?
Did he have chess.com?
So when they were playing chess, I think because he was originally playing against himself, he has the board out to show him like a physical, 3D version. And then on his iPad, he has chess.com up. Oscar and I played a lot of chess.com, and a lot of our friends from university will love that.
Yeah, if you didn't think we were weird enough already doing a Hugh Grant podcast, now you know we play chess as well. Anyway, there's something about him which doesn't sit right with me. No. So I'm expecting a bit more from him. And then we've got the husband of Elena Alves, the woman who was murdered. So we'll have to see where that goes. One thing I did want to just quickly say before we leave you is I just think it's hilarious that the photo of Hugh Grant that Henry has on his bed makes it's like the fifth best character in the fucking thing. It's making a return every episode. It's like a nice photo of Hugh climbing a mountain or something.
Yeah, with his lovely blue.
The kid's obsessed with it.
He loves it. He can't get enough of it. He keeps getting it out. Like I guess Nicole Kidman had put it away. Like in episode 1 and 2, it was on his bedside table. But in episode 3, he had to like rifle around in a bag and pull it out. Maybe Nicole Kidman's done a big like cleanup of the house and got rid of every mention of Hugh. But yeah, he went in the wardrobe, grabbed it out, and we got a proper nice close up of it this time. Like you say, it's a character in itself.
I think it's an ongoing joke. I think we're going to see it every episode. I think it's going to be like one of those like little motif shout out things where you just put it in the corner and you have to. It's like where's Wally, you know?
Yes, exactly. Oh, mate, I think you're absolutely right. It'll be like in The Office, the UK version. Sorry, guys. There's like this same shot over and over again of paper just like filing out, and they use the same shot in each episode. And this is exactly the same thing. They're just going to use the same photo of Hugh Grant, his lovely little blue North Face jacket, smiling away at us. I will not be opposed to that at all. It's a lovely photo and it's of Hugh. What is there not to like? But it's back again. You love to see it. Well, speaking of being back again, we are going to be back again very soon. Next week, oh, blimey, what's coming out next week? The Lady and the Highwayman, a Hugh Grant classic from 1988, I think.
You won't want to miss this one, guys. It really is something to behold. Hugh Grant is he's like Batman from the 1600s.
Yeah, he's Batman, he's Zorro, he's a vigilante. He could not be further, in many ways, further from what he is in this one. He's kind of like James Bond with a sword. It's incredible. There's low grade incest. There's swashbuckling. There's big puffy hats. There's so much to get your teeth stuck into. So we'll see you next week for a normal episode of Taking You for Granted for that. In the meantime, come look at our YouTube channel. Come look at our lovely faces. Come look at my bookcase and my washing that's hanging up over there. And our lovely Taking You for Granted t-shirts.
Yeah, I've got the t-shirts on.
Exactly.
Big love for that. Message us if you want one and we can sort you out.
We'll make things happen. We'll make it happen. Right, everyone, it's goodbye from me, Diggory Waite.
Goodbye from me, Oscar. Take
Bye.
care, guys. Stay safe out there.
This is the end of Hugh's News. We hope you feel very Hugh's News about Hugh Grant. Hugh's News. And everything is very Hugh's News. And now it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye.
Hugh's News is a Taking Hugh for Granted production and is produced, edited and presented by Diggory Waite and Oscar Beardmore Gray. The producers of Taking Hugh for Granted would like to state that this podcast is in no way associated with the actor Hugh John Mungo Grant, nor does it endorse his views or represent him in any way. Instead, by creating this podcast, Oscar and Diggory hope to celebrate Hugh's illustrious career, reliving his old classics and shedding light on some of his hidden gems. Hugh, if you're listening, we hope you approve.